Hi there, you're watching the Gardens and Graveyards channel. My name is Charisma and today we are in the garden and we're gonna do a really simple, sweet project of just walking slowly through the garden and deadheading anything that needs to be deadheaded, making notes of projects that need to be done, plants that are ready to be cut back, like a rejuvenation cut back to create more blooms, or anything that needs to be harvested for dried flower arranging or herbal, whatever I want to do with my herbs. So I'm not going to do any big cutbacks. I'm just going to do little delicate deadheading. If there's something that's like severely needs to be cut back and there's no chance of, like we're not enjoying any blooms or anything on them anyways, I might do that as well. But I've had a very long day. For those of you who don't know, I have 2 jobs in addition to doing the YouTube channel. And I've been working for about 12 hours and I'm just ready to be done. I have dinner cooking in the Instapot, making cracked chicken with peas from the garden, the last bit of our pea harvest. So while that's cooking, I thought that I would just come take a nice relaxing walk through the garden, do a little deadheading, and just be in touch with my garden. So as I go along, I will share with you what I'm doing. It might be a little bit of voiceover, it might be a little explanation, I don't know. So I'm gonna just start at the top of this pathway near our driveway and work our way down and work our way back up and maybe do little side shoots. But I don't plan on getting into the herb garden today. There's a big project coming there, so stay tuned for that. I don't want to take a bunch of blossoms away because I will be giving you a nice, long, slow walk through the garden and share a garden tour video with you on Sunday, so stay tuned for that. If you're not subscribed, you should definitely ring the bell, subscribe, so you're notified whenever I post a new video. And but the rest of what I'm gonna do is just kind of a chill evening in the garden. So, sneak peek on the tour. My jasmine is finally blooming and it smells delicious. So here I am deadheading the rose campium, basically just removing all of the seed heads so it doesn't self-seed in places I don't want it to self-seed, and it also encourages further blooming. Over in this area, I deadheaded some lilies, some daylilies, and some more rose campium. Then I got started on pruning the roses. More or less just deadheading all the roses. They have been blooming for several months now, and I have to come through every week to 10 days and remove the spent blooms or old blossoms, because none of these ornamental roses have really great rose hips, so there's no point in leaving them. And the more you deadhead, again, the more blossoms you will get. This bouquet of roses sitting on top of one stem is so impressive, but it was also very heavy and needed to be staked. I almost feel like I could train this to be a rose standard. I went ahead and cut back the seed heads on this columbine and moved the seed heads over to another area so that any seeds that spill can seed themselves where I place them. Moving out of the rose garden, I deadheaded these Suncredibles. This is the proven winners, Suncredibles, and the more you deadhead them, the more blooms they get, and they are prolific bloomers. I'm super impressed. Next, I deadheaded all of the Sea Thrift, just removing all the spent blooms. I don't expect a big flush of new blooms to come this summer, but I should get a few here and there, and certainly more growth on the clumps of Sea Thrifts. As always, anytime I'm in any bed doing maintenance, if there's weeds, I will pull them as well. And in this case, this is the native Oregon strawberry that's trying to grow all inside of the sea thrift. So I'm always having to remove it. I've been removing 10 to a dozen Shasta daisies every day the last few days because the blooms just get tired looking, and it does encourage new growth and new blooms. I also removed the spent blooms off of the hostas deep inside this privet grove. They've been driving me crazy, and I can't believe I nearly forgot to get them. The last thing I deadheaded was this clump of Veronica. And this Veronica will flush out a full new flush at least once, if not twice more this growing season. Especially if I get back and cut it back again when the next flush is done blooming. All right, that's all I'm gonna do for this evening. I thought maybe I'd get a little further along, but that's okay. I'll turn the camera around and show you what I did get done and what I noticed as I went along. Like I said, the jasmine is blooming, smelling wonderful. I did a little deadheading on that tiny rose there, and I cut a bunch of seed heads off of this rose campium. The more I cut off these seed heads, which I can come by and just pop them off like that pretty easily. They do break pretty easy, so I like to cut them if I can. The more I do that, the more I have blooms. You can see there's this seed head there. Right here, I'm gonna get another bloom. This doesn't always come off as easy when there's a bloom coming on. Anyhow, I do like to remove the seeds just because they self-seed everywhere very easily, and I try to control that a little bit. And I also love extending the bloom cycle, especially on this one that's super close to the driveway. The ones that I have out in other parts of the garden, I'm not as particular about. I noticed that I have some black spot on this rose, which I wasn't experiencing, but we had a couple of days of rain, and you can see how congested this container is. So I'm gonna spray for black spot just to help it along, but you could see how many blooms are coming on, which is really exciting. I deadheaded the lilies that have bloomed. This was the Black Prince or something like that. This lily, look at how beautiful it is. It smells so divine. I did a little deadheading on that rose campium as well. I took off the bloom stalks of those big hostas back there. I was making note that this Edgeworthia needs to get pruned. Over here, I removed the spent blooms on the yellow rose. I staked up the red rose. Can you believe this has been going for like a week or more? all of these roses are on one single stem. And they are lasting through 3 nights of rain and just wind being like, it keeps falling over because it wasn't staked. And they still look just amazing. I did end up keeping the nicest looking yellow roses. You could see they're like starting to fall apart. And I will save these rose petals. I also saved a couple of Veronica that hadn't gone to seed yet that I needed to cut off so that more blooms will come. And I want to see how they dry. I've never dried Veronica before, so we'll see. I cut back the Veronica. I left some nice looking blooms on there. And then I just cut everything back to all these little buds that will be blooming very soon. Down this direction, I just took off the spent blooms off of the Shasta Daisy. They just start getting a little like dusty. You see that? A little bit tired, like this one, like these two could have been cut off. They just look a little tired. Every couple of days I'm in here just taking out a few blooms that are tired. And this patch has all of this bindweed that we need to get in there and remove. So I'm also taking those out almost every time too, so fun. Out here I cut back the goat's beard or Philippendula that we transplanted. They just had some blooms on here that were not gonna make it because the plant is distressed. So I cut these off and I'm gonna try drying them. And then I cut all of the spent blooms off of the Sea Thrift. I just have 3 little clumps. I had multiple clumps along here, but they've died back. This is actually grass, not Sea Thrift. And I was weeding it out. You can see it dies off in the middle like many clumping grasses do. But I had some strawberry growing up through it, so I weeded it. And then I'm seeing that like there's 1, 2, 3 clumps of grass right here. So I think I might come in and do a little bit of dividing. I want to move where these grasses are. When I weeded this little patch, this piece came off, and so I just stuck it back in the ground. Hope for the best. Get it watered. But yeah, this area is gonna go through some rejuvenation. We need to remove all of the iris that's died back and thin it out this year. I'm gonna do something a little bit different with this garden bed this fall and coming spring. So we'll be doing a lot of removal of irises in here. I didn't get any further than that. The next thing that I do need to do is take all the seed heads out of this bed. I did take some columbine seed head out of the rose garden, and I just set it right here. You can hear the seeds. I'm just shaking them over here to let that variety self-seed with a little bit of help. The rest of them I'm gonna carefully take and put the seed out by the creek bank. I also have seeds forming on this, which has bulbs in it, and so I'm waiting for the seeds to be firm. I'd like to see if I could grow them by seed or if it's just better to do it by bulb. I really liked the plants though, so there's that. And then the last thing I'm going to mention is this is our first dahlia out front to bloom, and she's absolutely gorgeous. This is Bewitched. This is a dahlia I picked up in a dahlia farm in Tillamook last summer. I'm just so in love. Look at that. It's so beautiful. All right, that is going to do it for today, everyone. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you are celebrating your life. You're having a fantastic summer, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.